Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be learning how to draft a two-part corset with a yoke, just like you see in the video. So we are going to start with using my measurements. Shoulder is 15, bust is 33, under bust is 29, half waist is 16, nipple to nipple is 7.5. So I am going to start by marking out the starting point as usual. So I'm going to start with marking out 1 inches all through. So after getting the starting point, we are going to start by getting our vertical measurement. So I'm going to start by measuring out my bust point. My bust point is 10 inches, my under bust is 13 inches, and my half waist is 16. But to avoid mistake, I am going to add 2 inches allowance to my full length, that's the half waist length, which is 18 inches. So what I'm going to do now is to mark this line across to get a straight line. So this is going to serve as our bust point. This is going to be our under bust, which is 13, and this is going to be our half waist, which is 18. That's plus 2 inches allowance. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is to get our shoulder measurement. Shoulder measurement is 15 inches. 15 inches divided by 2 will give 7.5 inches. That's what I'm measuring. So from that point, I'm coming down by 1 inches to get our shoulder slant. So I'm going to go now and measure my neck width. I'm using 3 inches. So I'm going to mark out my neck width, which is 3 inches. And from that 3 inches, I'm going to connect it to the 1 inches I came down by to get our shoulder allowance, to get our shoulder slant, sorry. We all know that our shoulders are not straight. So now, I'm going to get my chest line. Whatever your bust point is, you're going to come up by 2 inches. That will be your chest line. So my chest line will automatically be 8 inches because my bust point is 10 inches. So I'm going to get a straight line for my chest line. So we're going to connect what we have from our chest line to our shoulder slant. That is what I am doing now. Now to get our armhole curve, we are going to measure whatever we have from the shoulder slant to the chest line, which is 7. Divide it into 2. That is going to be our midpoint, which is 3.5. And from that point, you are going to go in by half inches. This will enable you to get your armhole curve. So we are going to draw the lines now. Join the lines just like you see me doing. So the first thing we're going to do is to get our bust measurement. My bust is 33 divided by 4. It's going to give me 8.2. We're going to see the reason why we're measuring out the bust measurement first. So that is what you see me doing. I'm measuring my bust measurement. So after this, we're going to get our dart measurement. To do that, you're going to divide your nipple to nipple by 2. So my nipple to nipple is 7.5. If I divide it by 2, I'm going to get almost I think almost 4 inches, 3.7 inches. So you're going to mark this nipple to nipple measurement across your pattern to the bust point. You're going to stop at the bust point. Then on the bust point, you're going to come down by 1 inches. The reason why you're doing this is for you not to have a pointy bust. So you're going to connect to that line. That's the 1 inches you came down by. So after doing this, we want to connect from our bust point to our shoulder line. To do that, we are going to measure our shoulder measurement. Whatever we have, we are going to get the midpoint and divide it into 2. So I have 2.2 here. The 2.2 is going to serve as my midpoint. So from this point, I am going to connect it to my bust point. Do not forget we came down by 1 inches. So now after connecting, the next thing we're going to do is to take out our dart. So what we're going to do is to come down to the half waist and take out half inches. And we're going to connect that half inches to our bust point. So that is what we're going to do now. We're going to connect from the half inches at the half waist straight to the bust point. Please do not forget that we came down by 1 inches to avoid pointy bust. So it is time to do our under bust tightening. I'm going to take out 1.5 inches, that's 0.75 inches from both sides. Please note that you're not starting from the middle line but from the new line, 0.5 inches. So I'm going to draw a straight line down to connect to the half waist. For a normal size, you can use 1.5 inches, but for a bigger bust, you can take out 2 inches for the bust tightening. So the next thing we're going to do now is to connect it to the top. But before we do that, I do not want to expose my bust too much. So I'm going to add 1.5 inches to the chest line. I'm going to add 1.5 inches to it. That's going to be my new chest line. But if you just want it to be a normal corset, you can just leave it. But I don't want it to be exposed. That is why I'm doing this. So I've drawn a straight line across, and this is where I'm going to connect my bust point. The first thing we're going to do is to connect from the under bust to the bust point. That's from the under bust to the bust point. We're going to do so for the side and for the center front. So we have this. Just make sure that your lines are properly connected. You do not need to rush. Just do it so that you not start regretting that, why did I do this? The next thing we're going to do now is to take out whatever we took out from the under bust at the top. So if we measure what we took out, everything is 2 inches. So we are going to take out that 2 inches. But we are going to take out the bigger side on the side and the smaller side on the center front. So from the center front, I'm going to take out 0.7 inches, and from the side, I'm going to take out 1.2 inches. So when you measure everything together, it's going to be 2 inches. So we are going to connect now from the bust point to the measurement you took, the 2 inches you took at the top. Please do not forget, when you're connecting, make sure you connect from the 1 inches you came down by to avoid a pointy bust. So we're going to do just like you see me doing. We're going to connect both the center front and the side front. So this is it. The next thing we're going to do now is to get our cup to draw it. So at the center front, I'm going to measure half inches, and I'm also going to come down by half inches. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect these lines together. So from these half inches that we came down by, we're going to connect it back to the under bust. Please do not hurry when you are trying to get your curve. Just make sure that your curve is okay and is able to accommodate your bust. So now we're going to draw the other cup. So from our bust measurements, we're going to measure the space we have between the shoulder line and the bust measurements, get the midpoint, and come down. We're going to come down by half inches. So if it's a bigger size, we would have had enough midpoint. So from this midpoint, from the half inches, we're going to draw a straight line. So now what we're going to do is to connect from these half inches we came down by to our under bust, just like we did for the center front. So when you are trying to draft, make sure that you get your curve. You don't need to rush so that your bust can sit perfectly inside the cup. So now we have, after measuring our cup, we are going to have our 2 cup measurement. So now we have our 2 cup measurement. So the next thing we're going to do is to connect this to give it a sweetheart kind of neckline. We're going to connect it. But before we do it, we have to make sure that whatever we have from the chest line to the bust point is equal. So from this other side, I have 4.2 inches. So I'm going to measure for the other side to make sure that it is equal. So I have 4.2 inches here. Let's measure and see what we have. From the measurements, we have 3.6 inches. So we see that it is not usually equal. So now we have to add whatever allowance we need to add. That's 4.2 minus 3.6. So I'm going to add the allowance at the top. I'm going to connect it just like you see me doing. And after doing this, we can now connect it, make our curve. You can either use your curve ruler or you can use freehand. Honestly, whatever you are good at using, please use it. So you can just trace it out first and connect. So now we have our cup ready. We have our cup A and cup B. So we're just going to label it to avoid confusion. So we have cup A and we have cup B. So I am not snatching my waist for this corset, but if you want to snatch your waist, you can just measure just like you see me doing. You're going to measure from this underbust somewhere around here. Just mark a straight line and then take out whatever you want to take out, either 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I don't know, should I do another video for a snatched waist corset? So but for this pattern, I am not, just like you saw in the video, my waist is not snatched. So now we are going to start measuring, making our measurement. Add allowance, whatever you took out at the top, you add it, then you add your extra allowance. So I'm going to do the same thing for the underbust. I'm going to impute my normal underbust measurement. Then I'm going to add the 2 inches allowance we took out. Then I'm going to add extra 2 inches allowance. So that is what I'm doing. For the half waist, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure my half waist measurement. I'm going to add the measurement I took out, which is 2 inches. Then I'm also going to add another extra 2 inches seam allowance. So we're going to connect those lines together now. So we're going to connect our armhole to the new allowance that we added. So that is what I did just now. So now we have our 2-part corset pattern. Please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, share and turn on notification bell. So we're going to cut out our pattern now. So we have 1, we have 2, and the other side is going to serve as our yoke. But before we do that, I would like to cut out my neck width first. It's not going to be a wide neck, so the depth of my neck is going to be 2.5. Then I'm going to connect. So now we're going to start cutting. Please follow closely as I cut to avoid mistake, because sometimes these things can be confusing. So follow along as I cut. Watch closely as I cut it to avoid any mistakes. So now we have our two bra cups, just like you see, bra cup A and bra cup B. We have our center fronts, we have our side fronts. I am going to cut that out now. And we also have our pattern, our yoke, sorry. So that's it for our cup pattern, our corset pattern. I hope you found this video helpful. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel.